Hello everyone. Today in this video session I am going to continue with the discussion of Module 5 Joint Probability Distribution and Sampling Theory of your subject 18 Mat 41 Complex Analysis, Probability and Statistical Methods. So in the last few video sessions on your Module 5 I have discussed about joint probability distribution. So today we will continue with that model and discuss about sampling theory. Now what is statistical inference? It is necessary to draw some valid and reasonable conclusions concerning a large mass of individuals or things. Every individual or the entire group is known as population. Small part of this population is known as sample. The process of drawing some valid and reasonable conclusion about the entire population is statistical inference. Now what is this population, sample and statistical inference? Suppose the entire group of students of your AJIT can be regarded as population. All the students of AJIT is nothing but the population in this concept. For example, now the part of this population, that is the students studying in 4th semester CSE, is considered as sample. Okay, the entire group of students of AJIT is regarded as population, wherein the student studying in 4th semester CSE is referred as sample. The process of drawing some valid and reasonable conclusion about the entire population is statistical inference. The process of drawing some conclusion with valid reasons about the entire population we are considering is known as statistical inference. So the same thing I have given here, a large collection of individuals or attributes or numerical data can be understood as a population. Collection of individuals like the students of the entire college, or attributes, that is the properties, or the numerical data, collection of data, can be understood as a population, or the other name for population is universe. A finite subset of the universe is sample. As I told you, student studying in your class is regarded as sample. The number of individuals in a sample is called as a sample size. The number of students in that particular group is regarded as sample size, and it is usually denoted by n. The selection of individual or item from the population in such a way that each has the same chance of occurrence of being selected is called random sampling. So from the entire population, suppose you want to select an individual or item in such a way that each has the same chance of occurrence. Okay, from the population you are selecting an individual such that randomly you are selecting. We say that randomly we selecting a student. We are not bothered about any properties or attributes or marks or anything. Randomly we are selecting a student from the population, and that is known as random sampling. For every sample size, which we denote it as n, we can compute quantities like mean, median, standard deviation, etc. Obviously, these will not be the same for all the samples. Suppose, as I told you, population is the students of AJIT and the sample is the students of 4th semester CSE. We are considering the marks scored by the students of 4th semester CSE in their mathematics subject. So you can calculate the quantities like mean, median, standard deviation of the marks scored by 4th semester CSE students, that is the sample. Obviously, these will not be the same for all the samples. We can consider different samples also, different classes, students of different classes. Obviously, these quantities like mean, median, standard deviation, whatever we calculate, may not be the same for all the samples. Now, suppose we group these characteristics according to their frequencies. The characteristic like mean, median, standard deviation, whatever we calculate, according to their frequencies we are grouping. Then the frequency distribution obtained are called sampling distribution. Okay, we are grouping these characteristics according to their frequency of occurrence. Then the frequency distribution so generated are called sampling distribution. The sampling distribution of large samples are assumed to be normal distribution. This we need to remember. The sampling distribution of large samples are always assumed to be in normal distribution. The standard deviation of a sampling distribution is also called as standard error. Remember this, the sampling distribution of large samples. Always you assume it follows a normal distribution. The standard deviation of the sampling distribution is also known as standard error, denoted by SE. Now, what is meant by testing a hypothesis? To reach decision about populations on the basis of sample information, we make certain assumptions about the populations involved. Such assumptions, which may or may not be true, are called statistical hypothesis. So, what is hypothesis? To reach decisions about population on the basis of sample information. To reach decisions about population on the basis of sample information, we make certain assumptions about the populations involved. Such assumptions, which may or may not be true, are called statistical hypothesis. Okay, so based on the basis of sample information, whatever we have, to make some decisions about the population. Suppose if you consider the same population and sample which you have taken as example before. Now you select a sample of 4th semester students of AJIT. You know their marks, whatever it is, marks or the maths or any other subject. So based on that sample information, whatever you have, it's very difficult to collect all the data of all the students when the population is so big. So on the basis of sample information, whatever you have, you make some decisions, you make certain assumptions about the population on the basis of sample information, on the basis of whatever the information is available about the sample, that is about the students of 4th semester CSE. We are making some assumptions about the entire student group of AJIT to reach decisions about the population. So such assumptions, which may or may not be true, we cannot say it is always true because we are making on the basis of sample information. So these assumptions, which may or may not be true, are called hypothesis, statistical hypothesis. By testing a hypothesis is meant a process for deciding whether to accept or reject the hypothesis. So what do you mean by testing a hypothesis? It is a process for deciding whether we have to accept the hypothesis or we have to reject the hypothesis. The method consists in assuming the hypothesis as correct, then computing the probability of getting the observed sample. If this probability is less than a certain pre-assigned value, the hypothesis is rejected. Okay, hope this is clear to you what is meant by hypothesis. To reach decisions about the population on the basis of sample information, we are making certain assumptions. So such assumptions are known as statistical hypothesis. Now, what do you mean by testing of hypothesis? Testing of hypothesis is nothing but a process of deciding whether the hypothesis, that is whether the assumption we have made regarding the population is true or false, whether we can accept it or we have to reject the hypothesis. So this method of testing of hypothesis consists in, first you have to assume the hypothesis as true, whatever assumption you have made regarding the population based on sample information, you are assuming it as true, then compute the probability of getting the observed sample. So if that particular probability, whatever you get, is less than certain pre-assigned value, this what is this pre-assigned value? We'll come to this later. If it is less than certain pre-assigned value, then we reject the hypothesis. Okay, then we reject the hypothesis. Okay. Now, what is this error? In a test process, there can be 4 possible situations lead to 2 types of errors, and the same is tabulated as follows. So in a test process, that is the testing of hypothesis, just now we have seen what is meant by testing a hypothesis, right? You are assuming, first you are making some hypothesis, on that, based on that hypothesis we are assuming that the hypothesis or whatever the assumption you have made is correct, then you are calculating some probability. If that probability is less than the pre-assigned value, then we are rejecting the hypothesis, right? So in this test process, there can be 4 possible situations lead to 2 types of errors. Okay, so what are those possible situations and what are those 2 types of errors? It is tabulated like this. Now you have an hypothesis with you. Either the hypothesis is true or the hypothesis is false. Suppose you assume that the hypothesis is true, then accepting the hypothesis. When the hypothesis is true, you are accepting the hypothesis, that is the correct decision. And when the hypothesis is true, the rejecting the hypothesis, and that is known as wrong decision, and in that case we say that type 1 error occurs when the hypothesis is true and it is getting rejected. Remember, hypothesis and is true, but we are rejecting the hypothesis, and that is called as type 1 error. Fine. And hypothesis is false, but still we are accepting the hypothesis, then it is a wrong decision and it is called type 2 error. When the hypothesis is false, we are accepting the hypothesis, is known as type 2 error. And when the hypothesis is false, you are rejecting the hypothesis, and that is the correct decisions. Very simple here. And this accepting or rejecting depends on the test process, testing of hypothesis. Based on some assumptions or some probability, we test a hypothesis and accept or reject the hypothesis. If in the case, let me explain you again, if the hypothesis is true and based on some test or by the way of testing a hypothesis, you accept the hypothesis, then it is the correct decision, right? When the hypothesis is true, you are accepting the hypothesis, that is called the correct decision. And the hypothesis is true and we are rejecting the hypothesis is the wrong decision. So in such case, we say that type 1 error has been occurred. Okay. And the hypothesis is false and you are rejecting the hypothesis is the correct decision. When the hypothesis is false, you are accepting the hypothesis is always the wrong decision, and in such case type 2 error occurs. So what is type 1 error? Hypothesis is true but still it has been rejected. That is type 1 error. hypothesis is false, but it has been accepted, that is type 2 error. Okay, now what is null hypothesis? We have discussed about hypothesis. What is null hypothesis? The hypothesis formulated for the sake of rejecting it under the assumption that it is true is called the null hypothesis and is denoted by H naught. The hypothesis which is formulated for the sake of rejecting it. You are formulating the hypothesis only for rejecting it under certain assumption it is true is called as the null hypothesis, and it is always denoted by H naught. The null hypothesis is always denoted by H naught. To test whether one procedure is better than another, we assume that there is no difference between the procedures. So here is a good example. We are comparing two products. Okay. For example, we need to compare which product. You have two products A and B. We want to check whether A is better than B or product B is better than A. In such case, we assume that there is no difference between the procedures. We assume that there is no difference between the products. Both the product A and B are the same. So such hypothesis is called null hypothesis. You know that the product are not the same, but still we are formulating the hypothesis that the product are the same just for the sake of rejecting it. Okay. So such hypothesis is known as null hypothesis. Similarly, to test whether there is a relationship between two variables. To test whether there is a relation between two variables or variates, we take H naught, that there is no relationship. By accepting a null hypothesis, we mean that on the basis of the statistic calculated from the sample, we do not reject the hypothesis. Okay. Accepting the null hypothesis, we mean that we do not reject the hypothesis. It, however, does not imply that the hypothesis is proved to be true, nor its rejection implies that it is disproved. So when you accept the hypothesis, we cannot say that the hypothesis is proved to be true, or when we say we reject the hypothesis, we cannot say that the hypothesis is disproved. We are only accepting the hypothesis. We are not implying that the hypothesis is proved to be true, or when we reject the hypothesis, it does not imply that the hypothesis is disproved. Now what is meant by significance level? The probability level below which leads to the hypothesis, rejection of the hypothesis, below which leads to the rejection of the hypothesis. Write down here it is rejection of the hypothesis is known as significance level. As I told you, in testing the hypothesis, in the process of testing the hypothesis, after calculating the probability, we reject the hypothesis if it is less than some pre-assigned value. So what is that pre-assigned value? That comes here. Okay. The probability level below which leads to the rejection of the hypothesis is known as the significance level. This probability is conventionally fixed at 0.05 or 0.01, that is 5% or 1%. This is usually you take it as 5% or 1%. Therefore, rejecting hypothesis at 1% level of significance implies that at 5% level of significance there may be errors of either type 1 or type 2 is 0.05. So rejecting a hypothesis at 5% level of significance implies that there may be errors of whatever may be the error, type 1 or type 2 is probability is 0.05. Rejecting the hypothesis at 1% level of significance implies that At 1% level of significance, there may be error of 0.01. Test of significance and confidence interval. The process which helps us to decide about the acceptance or rejection of hypothesis is called as the test of significance. So in the testing of hypothesis, the process which helps us to decide about the acceptance or rejection of the hypothesis is called as test of significance. Suppose that we have a normal population with mean mu and standard deviation sigma. You have a normal population with mean mu and standard deviation sigma. If x bar is the sample mean of the random sample size n, the quantity t defined by t is equal to x bar minus mu into root n by sigma is called as the standard normal variate. You are considering the entire population. We have a normal population which follows the normal distribution with mean mu and standard deviation sigma. You consider a random sample of size n. Suppose x bar is the mean of the random sample of size n. Then you define t as x bar minus mu into root n divided by sigma, and that is called as the standard normal variate, whose mean is 0 and standard deviation is 1. So from the table of the normal areas, normal distribution, standard normal distribution table, we find that 95% of the area lies between t is equal to minus 1.96 to t is equal to 1.96. The major part of the area in the standard distribution curve we have seen, right? The total area is 1. So in the standard normal distribution table, we have seen that the total area under the curve, just try to recall the standard normal curve, the total area under the curve is 1, and you can see the table, the majority of the area, 95% of the area lies between t is equal to minus 1.96 to t is equal to 1.96. Instead of t, I have used there z, it's one and the same. Further, 5% level of significance is denoted by t 0.05. 5% level of significance is denoted by t 0.05. Therefore, minus 1.96 less than or equal to x bar minus mu into root n by sigma, which is less than or equal to 1.96. This is for 95% of the area. So get this, multiply throughout by mu by root n. Multiply throughout by mu by root n. Sorry, sigma by root n. Multiply throughout by sigma by root n. So sigma by root n into minus 1.96 is less than or equal to x bar minus mu. When you multiply by sigma by root n, this root n by sigma get cancels, is less than or equal to sigma by root n into 1.96. Or take your mu to the other side. Mu, when it take to the other side, or take x bar to the take mu to the other side. So x bar minus sigma by root n 1.96. If you take x bar here, x bar minus sigma by root n 1.96 is less than or equal to mu, right? If you take this inequality, mu is greater than or equal to x bar minus sigma by root n 1.96. Mu, you take it here, this term comes here, x bar minus sigma by root n 1.96 is less than or equal to mu. If you consider this, consider these two, mu you get it this side, sigma by root n term you take it to the right hand side. So mu is less than or equal to x bar plus sigma by root n 1.96. So combine these two. Mu is less than or equal to x bar plus sigma by root n into 1.96. Here mu is greater than or equal to x bar minus sigma by root n into 1.96. So combine these two, you'll get it as x bar minus sigma by root n 1.96 is less than or equal to mu less than or equal to x bar plus sigma by root n into 1.96. Okay. Now the similarly you can observe in the normal distribution table that 99% of the area lies between minus 2.58 to plus 2.58. Okay, 99% of the area lies between minus 2.58 to plus 2.58. So as we have done here, this is for minus 1.96 to 1.96. So you will get, if you go through the similar expression, you will get x bar minus sigma by root n into 2.58 is less than or equal to mu, which is less than or equal to x bar plus sigma by root n into 2.58. Okay. So this representation 3 is known as 95% confidence interval, and this representation 4, here you make it as 4, this representation 4 is known as 99% confidence interval. This is 95% confidence interval and this is 99% confidence interval. Okay. So now I have given it in the form of a curve. So you have a normal distribution curve. Okay. Here we say that the total 95% of the area, that is total area is 1. So in that 0.95 area lies between minus 1.96 to 1.96. Minus 1.96 to 1.96. The remaining 5% is on the either side, that is minus infinity to minus 1.96 and 1.96 to infinity. Remaining 5%. That is either side you have 2.5%. 0.025 on 0.5. 0.025. 0.025 is from minus infinity to minus 1.96 and 0.025 from 1.96 to infinity. Okay. Similarly here also you can observe from minus 2.58 to plus 2.58 you have 99% of the area. The remaining 1% lies from minus infinity to minus 2.58 and 2.58 to infinity. Remaining total 1%. So either side you have 0.5%. So minus infinity to minus 2.58 you have 0.5%. Here also 2.58 to infinity you have 0.5%. So this is known as 95% significance level and this is known as 99% significance confidence interval or significance level.